Good morning, metalheads of the internet, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Metal Meltdown. And today, by very popular demand, we will be reviewing the latest full-length studio album from Der Weg Einer Freheit entitled Innern. And yes, before somebody says it, because somebody will, somebody always does, yes, I'm very well aware that I very likely butchered the pronunciation of the band's name, because guess what? I'm not German. I don't speak or understand German. I'm a stupid, dumb, white Canadian who drinks beer and talks shit about your favorite band. Not for a living, just in general. Cut me some slack. Or don't. Your call. I'm fine either way. Innern is the sixth full-length studio album from this German black metal, post-metal crew whose name roughly translates to the Way of Freedom, if I'm not mistaken. I probably am, but whatever, we're rolling with it. Fuck it. If I'm not mistaken, we reviewed a previous album of Der Weg Einer Freheit back in 2021. I think it was called Nocturne. I don't really remember what I thought of it at the time, but I can tell you that this band has become known and celebrated in some circles for their very harsh and kind of intimate, introspective, and expressive kind of like post-black metal. This album in particular, right off the bat, is conceptually and musically a pretty bleak and massive affair. There's a lot of introspection being done on this record, and simultaneous to that, the band is tackling a lot of big concepts and ideas and problems with this very cold yet fiery blend of like black metal aggression and, you know, post-metal atmospheres and grandiose textures and such. It's consistently a very bleak, bitter, unrelenting, and intense affair, but there is a real honesty and tenderness to it as well that I find really endearing. Like, there's real intelligence and emotional depth to this music, alongside some pretty complex and interesting and cathartic compositions that do a great job at further pulling on the heartstrings. As the album's official Bandcamp page elaborates, each of the 6 tracks offers a meditation on human fragility and existential transformation, shifting between blistering aggression and haunting serenity. Martyr explores shared suffering as a path to transcendence. Eos imagines nature reclaiming a blood-soaked earth, and Forlorn becomes an intimate plea for emotional refuge, sung in English to underscore its universality. If I'm not mistaken, too, that makes Forlorn the first and only song in the Der Weg Einer Freheit discography to be sung in English. Everything else is usually sung in the German language. Despite that, though, I don't really feel like I have an issue like really understanding the music. I can feel the emotion behind it. I can understand the intentions behind it, and I can still connect to it. There is still a universality to the emotion and to the themes of the album, even if I don't literally understand literally every word that is coming out of the band. Opening number Martyr, for instance, is a massive and cinematic number, truly and fully, with a slow, gradual build and climb of synths and atmospherics and kind of like droning guitars and simmering drums, all leading up to towering walls of full-on black metal tremolo riffing and shrieking vocals and atmospheric textures and cinematic strings and keyboards. There's an uneasiness and a kind of unnerving vibe to the song as well, this kind of sinister underbelly to it as it continues to grow and blossom and show more of its fangs. And the tension and suspense builds to a pretty chilly climax with choral vocals and raging classic black metal fury. It really does feel like something Emperor may have done back in the day, but with a more modern post-black metal kind of coat of paint. Then the following number, Shibalba, does a good job at kind of taking and carrying that momentum off into a slightly different but still very effective and cathartic direction. Initially, it has these more intense, raw, nasty, kind of grimy, dirty black metal riffage, but it eventually builds on these kind of like dark, swooning strings and synths and takes us back into that kind of like more cinematic, orchestral kind of territory, but still with that more dirty, grim, sinister kind of of black metal feel kind of riding underneath it. The result is a dark, raging number with real, honest black metal brutality to it at the very core, but, you know, it also carries this kind of, like, mournful kind of quality, this real sorrowful, morose kind of shade. Great transition, too, into cold, contemplative, kind of ambient, atmospheric post-black metal. Really good fucking stuff. I think the album is consistently at its best, though, when it really leans into the super moody and gloomy type shit. Like, Fragment, for instance, has this almost kind of, like, spooky, foggy kind of gothic quality and elegance to it, with these hazy chugging guitars and this very repetitive, meditative percussion, and these very soft-spoken, mournful kind of vocals. Is a lot of ambience here, a lot of fucking atmosphere and emotion. The way that different guitars and tones and chorus kind of like linger and dance above and around everything as well is really fascinating. And the transition here into the more bombastic, emotionally charged, choral vocal heavy black metal is not only extremely effective and cathartic, it's damn near fucking seamless. And the closing number, Forlorn, goes down a pretty similar path as well, while also opting, initially at least, for a more stripped down, naked, kind of full-blown ambient atmosphere kind of flavor. Very soft, very gentle, very tender. It has this kind of airy, dreamlike kind of quality to it. To be honest, you could probably play this part of the song at like some new agey spa, and I would be relaxed as fuck. There is still a transition into full-blown black metal, but it doesn't have the rage or that kind of like cutthroat kind of energy to it as other tracks. Instead, waves of those kinds of like crushing, shoegazy, dreamy, atmospheric, ambient tones, they remain and are further complemented by clean vocal tones and monotonous harmonies that add an almost kind of Alcest kind of Lantlos spice to everything. Even the album's interluding number, Finisterre 3, manages to have some real weight and heart and power behind it. It is a piano-only number, very simple on surface level, but there is a kind of like elegance and melodrama to it that I think is very effective. It reminds me of some piano-driven numbers that I heard on Black Medium Current from Dot Heimsgard back in 2023. And similarly, I would say that this entire album as well has a lot of the complexities and nuances I would maybe expect of a Dot Heimsgard record, but without necessarily going into the more bonkers, unorthodox kind of avant-garde metal territory of the aforementioned Black Medium Current. In fact, it's remarkably a very accessible album. I really wouldn't have any issue recommending this to anyone so long as they were open-minded to the concept overall of black metal. I'm feeling a very strong 4 out of 5, maybe leaning slightly towards a 4.5 out of 5. I think this is a great record with amazing production, amazing performances, a lot of great ideas. I love that there are so many nuances and complexities to the record. I love that there's so many layers to the record. I love that it is a very introspective, meditative kind of thing that talks about so many different things without necessarily being like super preachy or annoying. And I feel like the more and more I explore this album, the more and more I'm going to learn about it, the more and more I'm going to connect with the themes and emotions and with everything kind of happening, the more little Easter eggs and little nuggets and surprises I'm going to uncover as well. Like even just with the 3 or 4 playthroughs I've done so far, I feel like each listen has been more rewarding than the previous one. And I think with that in mind, I can see myself just continuing to appreciate this album more and more as time goes on, and I could see the score going up in the near future. I could see this continuing to climb and climb and climb and grow and get better and better for me. For now, though, I'm sticking with my 4 out of 5, leaning towards a 4.5 out of 5. Y'all were smart to bug me about this. This is a great album. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I am not an expert, nor do I claim to be. So what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? And thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe right here so you get updates on the Metal Meltdown fucking immediately. Join us on Discord, boom other videos here, and as always, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.